You're on mute, Nick. Can't hear you. See,
There,
still,
how's that? Now
that's
you can
better.
right? All right, so we're going to take you through some backcourt violations. I know we're kind of talking about out of bounds plays a little bit, and the backcourt violation is kind of our fourth out of bounds line that we have to deal with when we're in the front court. So I kind of like to do backcourt violations where we talk about some out of bounds stuff. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring up the backcourt violation rule here, just so we can go over that part. So there are 3 articles in this is rule 9.9, and then goes articles 1, 2, and 3. So we'll refer back to these as we kind of come to the different clips. And the one exception here that you guys see is highlighted in yellow, that came in this last year. So I don't have a clip of that yet. I'm still trying to find one. So if everyone has a good video clip of that exception, please send it my way. I always like to have clips to kind of show people what those mean. So let's start with our first backcourt violation here. So I'm just let's play the clip and then we'll talk through it. All right, so we actually have 2 possible backcourt violations I do want to talk through. So the first one is by team in white here. We're just going to pause it right here. We have a kind of a 3/4 press here. So our location of our officials are in pretty good spots. We have a trail official that's just off the screen here. Our center official is lined up right here on the division line, because if there's a quick pass, the trail official, whose primary is that division line, may not be in a position to see it. So I always like to have the center official in this situation where it's kind of the 3/4 court anchor right on that division line so that he can rule on this this backcourt violation if there's one that occurs. So let's play through the first one here. Okay, so here we had just a deflection in the backcourt. The ball never makes it to the front court here, so we should be fine having the white player go and retrieve this ball without a problem, which is what happens. Okay, so that first one, no call, right? We got no backcourt violation on that. Then let's talk about this next one here. So on this, the defender intercepts the ball. He leaps from what would be his front court and then catches the ball and lands in the backcourt. So here's a question. Is that a backcourt violation? And this is where we could have a little discussion here about this. So if you have an opinion, go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up.
Nick, this is Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
By the definition of possession in the front court, moved back to the back court, I believe it's a backcourt violation.
So that is exactly when I played through this clip. I know that we should be looking at the rules. So let's go look at the rules. So if we go in here and look at the rules, the one that applies here is actually Article 3. It says, during a jump ball, throw in, or while on defense, a player may legally jump from his or her front court, secure control of the ball with both feet off the floor, and return to the floor with either one or both feet in the back court. The player may make a normal landing, and it makes no difference whether the first foot down is in the front court or the back court. So when we look at that play, so specifically by rule, it is not. But we have to be very clear on the rules here, because if you just think about, well, control, front court, back court, that could be ruled a backcourt violation. So we have to be very clear about the rules. And so this is always something I like to point out, is that the rule book really does exactly define this for us. And so I always like to see a clip is like, well, as you read.
Everybody else, is Nick froze up?
Nick, you're hung up.
Yeah, he's
Lost him.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's froze.
right.
I really like this clip.
Yeah.
When you look at that definition in Article 3, it's very vague.
I don't know. I thought it really specified what I said wrong by the front court versus back court possession. This defines it pretty close. And Nick has always been a rule guru, part of our crew, so it's pretty good.
It's a good clip.
Yeah, it is.
I think Nick's trying to
Reboot.
re-log himself in.
Yeah.
So we'll give him a second.
I want to know if the whistle blew.
Preston, did you guys no call that?
I believe so.
Okay. Did anybody say anything?
We talked about it after the game.
Okay.
Actually, we talked about it at halftime because that was in the first half.
Who was the third? I didn't see the. Who was the third?
I
It was
couldn't.
Nick. I believe it was
couldn't
Nick,
tell.
Matt, and myself. Because if you were not Joe, then it was Matt Hoffman.
I don't remember. I didn't see the picture if it was me or not. I don't
It wasn't
remember.
you. It was the Hillsborough game.
It was
I
Wani
think
Wan.
Nick was the center. I was the trail, and I believe Matt was the lead.
Yeah, good.
All right, I'll go in and I'll grab the steering wheel until Nick comes back here. It's a good thing he put all the clips in there. So I think these two, Nick's back. So I'm gonna stop sharing and let him take over. Nick, can you hear us?
I can now. Sorry, I got dropped right in the middle of a sentence.
I know you did. We kind of said, I think Nick's froze, and then we came to realize that you were indeed froze. So
We thought it was very strategic.
We carried on without you.
I figured you guys were. All right, let me see if I can get back in
We do
here.
that all year.
Thanks, Joe.
No, that wasn't my comment. That was
Preston.
That Preston?
Oh. I gave you a compliment. I gave you a compliment while you were gone, buddy.
All
He
right.
did.
All right. Are you guys back to seeing my screen here?
Yep.
All right. So I don't know what we're going to do, Brian. I dropped my video recording in the middle here. So I don't know if you want to hit record on your screen now, and we'll pick up wherever we can. We may have to do this one in 2 clips.
Yeah, we're good.
We got the gist of it. What happened there was good and a good rule review. It looks like your crew did not blow a whistle on it, right, Nick?
We did not blow a whistle on this. This was a really good play, just because we got it right. That's always important. So I just want to kind of finish up with that. That's your position on that one is really important. When we got kind of a 3/4 press, normally on a press, the center official should kind of be back here by the center, be back by this free throw line. But if there's nothing kind of endangered in that 3/4 press, if I go back to the beginning here, they're not putting any pressure on here. So you can kind of see that the official here just kind of starts here. All right, see what kind of pressure we have, and then just moves right to that half court line once they realize there's not going to be anything imminent that he would need to watch. And so now he's in position. And here's kind of his next matchup kind of right in front of him. He's in good position to rule on the backcourt violation. All right, let's go to our second clip. All right. So I believe this, nope, this is a different game. All right. I made it get too big here. So again, I'll just kind of play all the way through it. And we'll just kind of look at it and see what we have. All right. So again, just let's look at the official's position. A kind of same sort of kind of 3/4 court play here. So the center official here is near the center line. I'd like him to step up there so he's right on this on the division line there. The trail official is trailing the play as he should be. Just kind of got a pass here. All right. So now if you look here, one of the things about the backcourt violation we have now been met, right? We have the ball in the front court, both feet down. This ball now has front court status. And so let's just look at this play as it continues. And so we actually do have a whistle on this play. And actually both officials blow the whistle on this one, both the center and the trail official. So if we slow it down here, if I kind of back it up to where it's actually first touched. Okay, so ball goes to the back court here. You see that back foot is still in the back court. Okay, this is kind of one of those situations where if any part of the player is in the back court, he's got back court status. And so even though the front foot either is in the front court or maybe coming down to the front court here, any part of his player that is in the back court is going to make this a backcourt violation. Okay, and if you actually look, it actually is pretty close here. I'm just gonna get the screen out of the way here. That actually is pretty close to being able to make it in the front court here. So if he would not have touched the ball until this moment, right here, where the front foot is in the front court and there's nothing in the back court, this would be a legal play. So this is important to know that you don't have to have both feet down in the front court. You actually just need no part touching the back court. And so that's what we got on this play. Anyone have any questions or comments on that play?
Let's talk about the double whistle. We talk about those all the time.
Yep, so this is a double whistle here. I think you can see that both officials do raise their hand at the end of this play.
Right. So who's primary and who should be patient?
All right, so let's just, I'm going to play it with sound so you guys actually can hear the double whistle on this, I hope. Then we talk through that. Okay, so we do have a double whistle here. So a couple things just mechanically wise here. It's fine that we have a double whistle here. You know, in transition, the center official is in pretty good position to see this one too. But the primary coverage of this play should be by the trail official. So the first whistle should come from the trail official. And when we have a backcourt violation, we should make sure we use good mechanics. The first mechanic that we're going to have is the stop the clock signal. So hands straight up in the air with a good short blast on your whistle. And then you would signal that you have a backcourt violation here. If we do look here, he is almost signaling the backcourt violation at the same time he's blowing his whistle. Okay, so just good mechanics. That's just good stop the clock signal, and then we're going to go to the signal for the backcourt violation. If we have, if the primary official, the trail official, doesn't have a whistle here after a beat, the center official can come in and have a whistle on this. But we should have primary official as the trail official on this one. Any other questions, comments through that?
It's a good clip.
It's a good clip. Yep, and again, we did get the play called correctly, which is important. All right, let's go to clip number 3.
That is important.
All right, clip number 3. So here, instead of, we do have a throw in by the red team here in their front court. This is the first half, so this is their front court. So this is their basket here. So let's just play through it and look to see what we have going on. Okay, so let's talk about this. At this point, ball's at the disposal of the red team. Do we have team control in the front court at this point?
Yes, my vote. On a throw-in, you have team control.
On a throw-in,
Yes.
we do have team control, which is really a very important thing to realize here. But the key thing is, do they have team control in the front court? Is this spot right here considered the front court?
That's a good question. No, it's just team control.
Okay, so all we have in this situation is team control. Okay, and
Somebody else needs to start answering questions here. I'm muting.
Joe, you're just my A student here. You're always answering for me. All right, so we do have team control, but they don't have team control in the front court. So let's just play through this. We have a pass, goes over the head of the red player. She goes to track it down. Okay. We have the trail official ruling that the clock starts. Okay. And now the red player touches the ball in the front court and it goes to the back court. Is it legal for her to touch the ball first in the backcourt? Can she go and retrieve that ball in the backcourt? What opinions do we have here?
Is touch, the question you have to ask yourself, is touching considered now player control?
Player control, right?
Yes
I
or
mean,
no?
if you're answering, on the face of it, you can touch the ball. But does she have control of the ball?
Okay, so there's our next thing that we have to rule here. So to make a determination of the backcourt violation, we have to determine, does red gain team control in the front court here? Okay, is this touch or is this action by this player considered control?
I think by rule and definition. Preston, what do you got? You're the guy there.
I got it wrong.
Well, talk about it. What'd you get?
After watching the video, she never had possession, but when I ruled it, I felt she had possession.
So you felt that her putting the ball to the ground was part of a dribble?
Correct.
Okay, if that's what you thought, then you definitely by rule have a backcourt violation. But
Then you have
if
it
she just
right.
momentarily touches the ball, then you don't constitute that.
Right. But it was such bang bang, and then after watching video, then I felt that she never had possession.
Because I do remember talking through the play that we talked at. This was in the first half. We talked about at halftime is that basically what you ruled on this, and this is what we would explain to a coach if they had a question on this. What you ruled was she dribbled the ball in the front court, which constitutes team control in the front court. She was the first to touch it in the back court, so we would have a backcourt violation here. So I mean, if we explain it that way, that is the rule book backing us up by what we call. Now, we have to always go back and look at the film and say, well, does the film back up what we ruled on the court? And I think in this situation, if we go back and look here, we would probably not rule the action that occurs here a dribble.
Right, there's no control.
I don't think it's a controlled dribble. I think she's trying to dribble it, but I think she fails at that.
Well,
No.
we actually looked up the rule when we looked at this and when we were talking about it. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was first half. I think it might have been. Did you pull it? There you go. That boy.
I'll pull up the rule.
Thank you. I knew you would. Good. I like the, good. Let's do it again. Let's read that again, please.
So again, this is another Article 3 situation because this is during a throw-in, okay? So during a throw-in, a player may legally jump from his or her front court, secure control of the ball with one or both feet on the floor, return to the floor with both feet in the back court, okay? And it does not make a difference whether they first foot down here at all, okay? So because we do not have team control in the front court, we have nothing on this play, right? So the rule here on Article 1 says the player must not be the first to touch the ball after it has been in team control in the front court. Since we don't have team control in the front court, it doesn't matter.
So if she dribbles the ball, that constitutes team control in the front court. That's the most important thing. So
But because she was only reaching to try to dribble and glanced off it, she didn't have control.
it's nothing. You know, it's
Oh.
incidental contact with the
I
ball.
would say, you
Yeah.
know, I don't want to use necessarily a football term, but this is a muff, right? You
Yeah.
know? Like she goes to try to control the ball, but she doesn't, right? It goes through her hands. And so
We had a similar play like this happen a couple years ago in a game where a girl took a shot. It hit the rim, and a player from the team that had shot the ball tried to save it from going out of bounds in the corner between the sideline and the end line, and she actually heaved the ball back into the backcourt. And then one of her teammates went back in the backcourt to get it, and we ruled it a backcourt violation because we ruled that she had such prolonged contact with the ball that it was considered a pass, which also constituted team control. So
In control.
she wasn't passing, she wasn't dribbling. It's a no call. That's a
Right. So that's
That's a
Brian,
good
you make a very good point into further situation review. So on a rebound, the offensive player in the front court tips it back and it goes all the way to the back court. And then offensive player secures it. Again, we have a backcourt violation because we believe that tip is team control.
yeah. Now because that girl had to throw the ball so far, there's no way we were willing to rule that not part of a pass.
Yeah, same thing on a tip. I call the same thing when I see a tip back, off of a rebound or a long tip where a guy can't secure it or a girl can't secure it and they just tip it back. We consider that control.
So
Good.
the difference there is a control tip. So I always kind of look at the action going around it. If there's two people kind of going up and the ball just gets tipped as they're trying to both go up to secure the rebound, I probably don't have a control tip. But if they're kind of going up, looking where they're tipping the ball, and kind of the distance a little bit, like Brian said, I would look to see, how controlled was that? Was that kind of an intentional tip back? If they intentionally tip it back, well, that's control then again. If it's just kind of two guys going up to secure the rebound and it gets, tipped around and goes long, well, then there's no control there. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is on this clip is just the action that's going on around the ball here as it's loose on the floor. So let's say that we correctly rule that this was not a possession of the front court, that this is kind of a live ball. Either player can get the ball here. Do we have a foul on this play at the end of it? Okay, so let's take the backcourt violation off the table. Say we ruled that correctly, that wasn't team control. Do we have a foul on this play? So let's just look at that from that point of view at the end of this clip. Okay, so what do we think on this?
You have to ask yourself, how did a player that was running on her own suddenly go to the floor? I mean, I think White made illegal contact with her trying to go get the ball. I think she plays into her and knocks her over.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard
that's exactly what I think too, is that it looks like Red has a clear path to the ball, and White is going for the ball but makes illegal contact before they get there. So one of the things we can kind of look at this type of play, and a lot of times we can look at this as, did the contact happen before the defensive player touched the ball? Okay, if the contact happens before the defensive player touched the ball, more often than not, we're going to have a foul. If the defensive player can get to the ball before making contact, then I usually am going to pass on that unless there is egregious contact occurring. So, if the White player would have got to the ball first and then would have knocked into the Red player's legs, I probably would have a no call. But I think this case, the contact happens first. And so the other thing to think about is on this backcourt violation is, are we calling a backcourt violation so that we don't have to call a foul there? So just kind of keep that in mind, is that we got to make sure we rule on the backcourt violation correctly, and then don't just give up on this play. At the end of it, we might have to call a foul. Any other? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Something we always talk about is, it's an acronym, RSBQ. Rhythm, speed, balance, and quickness. That red player had her quickness and her speed were disrupted by that other player. So that's something to always put into your frame of mind when you're adjudicating on a play. Good one.
All right. I think we got through the 3 backcourt violations. So I have a couple bonus plays here, just because we have a little extra time. I will put the first bonus play here. This is more a mechanics play. This isn't necessarily a rules question here, but this is just mechanics here. So I'm going to leave the volume on so you can kind of hear what happens on this play. This is just this looks like a little bit of just a transition play. So I'm going to play it out for you here. So again here, just going to back up here. So ball went out the end line. I believe we have just a single whistle on this play. The lead official does blow his whistle on this, but you'll notice that he doesn't make any signal here. And so what does that tell us happened on this play?
He has no clue.
He's got no clue what's the call is here. And I mean, I think you're correct is that he doesn't see this play at all because it's in transition. He's the other side of the court. I think he gets blocked out by that white player. And so he blows his whistle. And then if you notice his body language, he looks immediately to me up here as the trail official. Or actually, I guess the center official in this play. I'm just not quite in position yet. So as soon as he looks to me and he has made no signal right now, that information is telling me, all right, this is now my call. And you'll notice that rather than get together with him to make a call, since he hasn't made one yet, I can just go ahead and call this one. And you'll see that I just point right away. So just a couple of things mechanically that I just want to talk through on this one. The lead official here should still stop the clock, blow his whistle, stop the clock, and then look to me if he's got no call. In that situation, then I would point on this play to say, you know what, he's not making the call, I'm making the call. It isn't that we need to talk and overturn his call or anything like that. I'm actually just making the call. So you see that I just go ahead and point. Yep, it's white ball. So just point it right away.
The lead official needs to ask for help. He, just by looking at you, that's not enough. He needs to say to Nick, help, or simply just help. And then Nick would give him the help, which is what he was attempting to do. He pointed the direction he wanted him to point. And then the lead official needs to be the one to blow his whistle again and give the directional signal that Nick gave. So help calls are so important.
So I'm not confirmed of all that. What I would say is that for me, if I'm making this call, I just made the call. Like, I think, the lead official should stop the clock. And I think he can mirror the call after I've made it, but I don't think he needs to blow his whistle again. I mean, it isn't a question of where he made a call and then I'm going to give him more information, so he might need to change his call. He didn't make a call. And I understand, help is definitely something that you want to ask for on these plays.
Oh, it's an absolute, it's a must. He has to ask for help.
He does.
He
the
has to.
that he gave me, right? He looked right to me. Like, he didn't say the words help, but we definitely made eye contact before I made a call there. So if we go back here and look, that ball goes out of bounds. You see his head. It's right, looking right at me.
You make a good point that he doesn't, kill the clock. Arm doesn't go up. He looks at you. I agree with Brian. He could yell for help. But you got to go back to, we don't see the start of the clip. Why is he so far out of position?
So the start of the clip is it's coming from the back, coming from the.
I know, but you see walking here at the end where if the ball's on that side of the court, if he's hustling and pinching down more, maybe he's got a better look.
He might. Yep.
Right.
I mean,
That's
like, I don't know exactly. This clip was from a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure if this was a press and it was just out of position or if this is a transition play. As the center official up here at the top of the screen, I'm not in position either yet, right?
yeah, you're pretty good. You're still going with it.
I should be at the bottom of that logo there at this point, but
The most important thing on this play is for people to realize that you're going to get screened out, even if it's your end line. I've asked for help probably over 100 times in my career. And if I'm the lead official and I blow my whistle for my end line, it is my responsibility to not just look at my partners. I must, you shall ask for help. There is no may in there. You have to ask for help. A head nod is not enough information.
Hey, can I chime in here a second?
go ahead, Matt.
So let's say the C doesn't have any information. You're going to go to the possession arrow, or you're going to get together and talk?
We probably would go to the trail to see if the trail has anything. What you don't want to do, Matt, is you don't want to get to a point where you go through two partners and you end up going with a held ball. That makes us look really bad, and it makes us look like we don't have any confidence in our out of bounds call, so we're going to rely on the arrow to bail us out.
This happened to me this year. Where I raised my hand, I said help, and I looked at the C, and he had nothing. And I just kind of went with my gut and pointed. I'm sure I got it right, but I wasn't 100% sure.
So here's what I would say on that situation. So this play, the center official made the call. If the center official is not going to make the call on that play, you two need to get together. I mean, since you asked for help, I don't think there's an issue with you two coming together and talking. Okay? He may tell you, I do not know who that went off of. But because you two got together, you now can come out and point a direction, right? No one needs to know what you guys talked about. But if you just raise your hand, ask for help, he says, I don't know, and then you make a call, then you just telegraph that you don't really know. You just made a call. If you guys get together and talk about it, now you can make a call. And I think you'll have a lot more credibility in that situation if you get together, then make the call, as opposed to not getting together. I'm not sure if you guys got together and that's what he said or not, but if he isn't going to give you any information on that, then he should come to you and you guys should get together.
So what I did there is I looked at him, I said, help, help, and he's just kind of shaking his head. And I turned and looked at the players, and the players basically made the decision for me.
Oh.
A lot of times the body language of the players will tell you what you need to do.
Yep, that's what I reverted to.
Nick,
So-
I like what you said. I think you need to go around the merry-go-round first, though, before you go back to the center official. I think the lead needs to go to the C because the C has the most likely information. If the C doesn't give you what you need, you got to go to the trail. And then you go back to the C for a conversation.
Yep, I think that's fine. But what I would recommend not doing there is, as Matt said, he blew his whistle, he asked for help, he just shook his head at him. That's not going to be good if the lead then comes out and makes a call.
No.
Because he didn't get any more information. So what information now is he basing it off of? And if he was ready, if he made a call after the C told him he doesn't know, then why didn't he make the call before the C told him he didn't know? So in that situation, I would say if I'm the C, so if there was this play and I'm the center official here, which I am, and I'm going to tell him I don't have any information, I'm not going to do that until I'm right next to him and I can tell him that. Because that way then we can we can, I don't want to say conceal, but we can, make a stronger call, have a little more confidence in our call than if I'm just shaking my head out here at the top of the key.
Yep, that makes sense.
And, the other thing that I would say here is I'm the center official. If you look here, I make this call and then I'm backing away. Right? If you look, see where I was, now I make the call, I'm backing away as I'm making the call. That's probably not very good either. Like mechanical wise, if I'm making that call, I need to stay engaged with that play and stay up at that spot where I'm at, as opposed to backing away. That would be my other kind of self-critique on that one if I was going to go back and do that one over.
You're right in front of the bench, though. And like Brian said, you can read the reactions. Everybody probably, the coach knew you had the right call. Everybody knew you had the right call. So, or else he'd be on you right there. I see him looking
the black team, 2 of the black players actually know the ball went off of one of them.
Right. Look at the coach there. I mean, he's not saying nothing.
Yeah, but if you look at the body language here,
yes,
you don't see anyone going anywhere, right? You see everyone just kind of sticking around there. So again, and let's just say this situation, the lead blows his whistle and he doesn't point right away. He might be able to read that body language and make a signal just a half a second or a second later, on that play. So even if you maybe didn't know who the ball went off of, the body language on this play is telling you who it did, and you can make a call.
but he needs good mechanics. The mechanics were poor.
Yep, I would agree with you 100% on that one. There's a couple different things on this that need to be cleaned up.
As he talked about it right away. That was the first thing, right?
Yep. All right. I guess we got time for this last one here. All right. So this is a jump ball to start the game.
Look at that guy throwing the ball up.
Yeah. Look at that good toss.
Oh, perfect.
All right, so this play is this happens a few times during the season where you'll have a jump ball and a team will not secure it in bounds. So this is where we got to be ready to go right from the opening tip. Okay, to start the game, I think we're all in good position, right? Center, the official here has opened up. Maybe a little more hustle down to the end line there as he sees it's going to the end line. But he gets the call right, stops the clock, points the direction. Okay, so now the conversation that we need to have at this point, and I did clip this one off here that we do actually have in this game, is that Preston here as the, what's going to be the center official, does come to me and say, all right, which way for the possession arrow? So let's talk through that. What do we have for setting the possession arrow on this play? What will we do?
I don't remember who got the ball.
So the blue
White team violated.
White team violated, so we give the ball to blue, right? White team tips it right here, right there, tips it, and
So
tries.
because white violated, that's really important, isn't it, to know that white violated?
Yep. So let me just make this big again here. So the question here is, at this point, white's got the ball. He leapt from inbounds, right? That's the question here. So he leaps from inbounds. His foot is right here. So he's not out of bounds at this point. He gets the ball, and he attempts to throw it off the blue player. But on this play, the ball bounces before it hits it bounces out of bounds before it hits the blue player.
I don't remember. Did the white player possess it before he went out of bounds?
So that's what we have to rule on this one, right?
That's
So-
the critical question right there. You're right. That's the critical question.
First one here, that is a tip, right? We wouldn't. I don't think anyone would consider that this is a possession, right?
Nope.
Okay, so a ball is tipped over that direction. He's going to try to recover it and tips it. I don't think he had any possession there. Okay, so Play continues. White player has the ball in his hands, and he is attempting to throw it off of the blue player.
If I remember right, when he finally got possession, he was already out of bounds, right?
Yep, I take back what I said. I think he is out of bounds before he jumps.
So he violated.
So he did not. So he's out of bounds. He violated.
Right.
So
That's
we give
important.
the ball to blue here. So the violation, blue gets the ball. So the question then we have to ask ourselves is, he was out of bounds when he touched the ball. So does that mean that he had control of the ball at any point in there? Or are we going to put the possession arrow based on the violation? So who should get the possession arrow in this situation? Blue's going to get the ball out of bounds. Does the possession arrow go to blue or to white?
I'm going to let some other people step up to the plate.
Me too. I just want to see that toss again.
All right, I'll play it through one more time.
I was only kidding.
Really, Joe? Really, Joe?
Another toss here.
Should the arrow get set to a certain team, either blue or white? Yes or no?
My vote is yes.
Yes.
So who are you going to give it to? And why?
We're going to rule that here shortly.
That's what I'm hoping.
Nobody possessed the ball yet. That's the way I look at it.
So I mean that's the question we have, right? So this where we set the possession arrow is all dependent upon, does white possess the ball? If white possesses the ball, then we would set the possession arrow based upon that possession. If white does not possess the ball, then we'd set the possession arrow based upon the violation. Okay.
Well, are we setting it yet, or are we determining that we are going to set it? That's the question for mine. We don't need to change it yet until it's in the control of the throw-in person, and then as to after that. So it's not changed yet.
So we have a dead arrow.
Correct, in my opinion. Right now.
And when if that's the case, then when are you going to actually set the arrow?
After the throw-in.
After the throw-in, or when the ball is at the disposal of the thrower-inner?
Disposal.
I think you give it at the disposal. I don't think there's any possession. And then you give it to blue because it was out on white. And then I think you would set the arrow for white as soon as you gave the ball at the disposal of blue.
I agree.
Kate, I like you.
So on this play, then I say that, if we rule white is out of bounds when he goes to touch that ball, then white never has possession of the ball, right? And we would put the arrow based upon the violation.
Right.
If we rule that white does have possession, then we're going to give the possession arrow to blue and set that right away before the throw-in would start.
Correct.
And we'd give the ball to blue as well.
It's
Good
so
discussion.
this is such a good clip because we don't have an established arrow until the ball is legally touched by the thrower-inner team.
So
Agreed.
it's a good clip. I think
It's a very good clip.
we just have to always be ready for those types of plays because we have to rule on possession a lot of times through the game. And whether a team has possession or not does affect a lot of things, whether you think about team control fouls, or you think about backcourt violations. So we always have to be ready to be able to rule, is what's happening team control, player control, or whatnot as we do the play. Okay. All right. So that was my last clip. We are at 8 o'clock here. So I do want to respect everyone's time here. I'm sure the meeting's going to kick us off a little bit here. So I do want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'm hoping that these are valuable to you here to keep you engaged during the off season as we hope to gear up for whatever season we have next year.
And as soon as I get word back from the WIA on the approval of those 2 clinics, I will start promoting it heavily. And I feel like that's also going to get us potentially some new members. With the ability to go virtual now, we can pretty much represent the entire state of Wisconsin. So I take that pretty seriously. I think it's important for us to be really focused on building our membership and doing that the right way, by having good quality professional development. And good job, Nick, with the clips. Those were very well done. So I appreciate that.
Well, thanks,
And I
everyone.
appreciate everyone's time.
Yep. And, you know, as you talk with other players or your crews throughout the year, those are posted up on the Padlet. So, you know, if you're looking for a pregame or something like that to talk through things, you can always go up to that Padlet and